Hey, what's going on YouTube? Hiker Dave NE here. Thank you for clicking. I'm at a spot I don't usually go hiking at too often. It's Borderland State Park. But I Google Earthed an area that I think might have the potential for a good research area. It's kind of in a travel corridor that I have this theory on travel corridors that run through wooded areas and stuff like that. And I think that there's an area in the borderland that could be a high traffic area for Bigfoot. As always, I carry a map anytime I go out hiking anywhere in any of these state forests. This particular Borderland State Park, has pretty clearly marked trails and stuff like that. And I always carry a map, especially if I'm not familiar with the area. Anyways, how are you? I just wanted to touch on something on about high elevation and how it pertains to Bigfoot and their travel and where they live and stuff like that. I was always under the impression right from the start of this that Bigfoot live in the mountains and thickly wooded areas, high elevation. The thought that they would be in an area close to me. I don't live near the mountains, and I thought, there's no way. I've since changed my mind on that, and if you've seen some of my videos, you'll see, that I have found more and more evidence of Bigfoot in my area than I really thought previous to when I first started doing this. Now, I know that the Patterson Gimlet film, awesome stuff, in the mid-'70s. A lot of people think that that's kind of what started this whole popularity of Bigfoot and stuff like that, but it wasn't. I think some of you might remember this was from like In Search Of, way back in the day. There was a show with Leonard Nimoy, and it started with in 1921. These British explorers were exploring Mount Everest, and they spotted these dim figures crossing over a mountain range, and high up on the slopes, and they trekked over to where they saw these things, and they investigated further in this high elevation area, and they found huge unexplained footprints in a straight line and a track. Something bipedal had made these prints, and it was the Calcutta newspaper. They reported this incident in 1921, and they referred to the creature as the abominable snowman, which is what we all know today, or the yeti. And that spread all over the globe. It didn't take long, and suddenly everybody knew about these footprints up in in Mount Everest. And since then, there's been a ton of expeditions searching for the yeti or Bigfoot, and there's a popular theory that these creatures, they don't live in the mountains themselves, but they live in the secluded jungle valleys between the peaks, and they cross the slopes to get from one valley to another. That makes sense to me. It does. That what's up on the top of Mount Everest, really, for them to survive and sustain themselves, And obviously their existence hasn't been proven or disproven since. But in with the high elevation thing, I have a theory on that. And just real quick before that, I do want to say that I just stumbled across this about Bigfoot sightings in New England. There's way more than I thought until I just found this out. In New England, there have been 67 credible sightings. So in Connecticut, there's been 5. Maine, 13. I thought there would be more in Maine. Maine is just such a thickly wooded area. I thought there'd be more, but we're talking about credible sightings, and I think that's where these numbers are from. In Massachusetts alone, just Mass, there have been 22. In New Hampshire, there's been 13. I thought there would be more again, because of the high elevation and the thick woods and stuff, Rhode Island, there's been 5. In Vermont, there's been 6. That's more than I thought. I can tell you that. I really didn't think 22. I thought that's a large number for Massachusetts, And so my theory on the high elevation is I don't see much sign here in the wintertime. I see a lot more and hear a lot more and feel a lot more in the better weather. And I kind of thought to myself, maybe they retreat. They not. I don't think that they migrate per se, like flying south for the winter or whatever like that. I don't think that they really migrate, but I think that they relocate, and that I think is based on its food source as well. But I find very little sign in the wintertime around here, and it made me think maybe that they retreat to higher elevations in the wintertime, if for nothing else, to completely avoid detection, to avoid leaving prints. Now, that own theory got shot down in my own mind because I found footprints in the snow not 2 or 3 weeks ago here in Massachusetts, lowland, just flat land. And so it made me think of another thing, that is it possible that there's a hierarchy, that older Bigfoot, more experienced Bigfoot get the prime spots, right? So a prime spot would be the mountains of New Hampshire and Vermont and Maine, where there's less activity, less people. Almost like the outcasts or younger Bigfoot, they don't get those prime pickings, you know what I mean? And that maybe the Bigfoots that I'm seeing in my area are younger, or just not part of that hierarchy, that system of the older, more seasoned Bigfoot pick the best spots for them and their family or their clan. Again, complete theory. I always throw out there I'm probably wrong, but it's hard to prove me wrong because of just the the lack of proof just in general, anyways. But that's kind of my theory, and this theory of that maybe that there is a picking order where some Bigfoot get to pick the best locations and then others are kind of left to fend for themselves. I think that makes sense to me. I really do. That that some of the maybe less experienced Bigfoot are left to the outskirts of these secluded mountain forest areas. And they're kind of maybe a little more inclined to make mistakes and leave prints in the snow or in the mud or in the dirt, like there is in my area. That I have found prints in the dirt, I found prints in the mud, in the snow. I found large 16-inch prints, smaller prints 12 to 13. I found a juvenile footprint out here not too many weeks ago in the snow, and that made me think, why would this little family of Bigfoot be stuck here? And that's what made me start to think that there might be a pecking order where maybe they're just not as experienced, they're younger, and they're kind of pushed out to areas that may not be so safe. So just my opinion, guys, and that's that. Food for thought once again. And I do appreciate you clicking, and I, without a doubt, will see you on the next one.